Welcome to some new r/petty revenge stories, where people share small victories over those that wronged them. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Inheritance. My husband passed away 2 years ago. He was a remodeler who had a broad list of clients. For a time, to help out the adult daughter, let's call her Kiki, of my good friend of 42 years, Amy, he would hire her as a helper on some of his larger remodeling projects. During that time, Kay would occasionally borrow things for her own projects. A portable CD player, a pair of channel locks, a winch and come-along, a table saw, chainsaw, a paint sprayer, and an air compressor and nail gun. They were all borrowed clean, in working order, in good condition with all relevant parts included. Every single one of them was returned with great delays, or broken, and missing significant parts, and a ton of excuses. Over 2 years, Kiki managed to cost him nearly 5k in losses. Finally, he also quit hiring her as a helper, because he caught her stealing from one of his clients, and forced her to put the item she took right back, and then kicked her off the job immediately. I was visiting Amy, and Kiki was there. And then Kiki hit me up for what she called her promised inheritance, which was the first I ever heard about it. We spent the 8 years of his terminal illness talking about what he wanted after his death. He gifted things of his that he wanted friends to have before he passed, so I knew that he didn't intend for Kiki to have anything. My husband left no will. Amy knew that my hubby had quit lending her tools after getting the paint sprayer back. It was a $1,200 purchase and was less than 4 months old when it was borrowed and returned broken in ways that warranty would not cover. Amy also knew Kiki's attempted theft had caused him to refuse to have her work on anything with him for any reason. Amy was also a victim of her daughter stealing from her as well. Now, our state is a community property state. When a spouse dies without a will, only the surviving spouse inherits. So Amy told her daughter to back off. I got the bright idea of how I was going to handle getting rid of all that broken stuff that was still taking up room in the tool shed. I told her I'd be sure to pick something out for her, even though her own behavior was the root cause of the bad blood between herself and my husband. So the next day, with Amy's help, I dropped off all the broken tools and the busted up CD player Kiki borrowed from my hubby at her apartment. Kiki wanted to know what I expected her to do with all of it. I told her that I expected her to do with them whatever it was she had expected my husband to do with them after she returned them in the condition they were in. Now she is the proud owner of a bunch of useless tools, and I got to reclaim nearly 35 square feet of space in what is now my tool shed. The next story is called Middle of a Meal. I've come to a cafe near my office for lunch, and the only space they had to sit was at the end of a communal table. No problem. I sat at the very end of the table, leaving 3 other spaces. I ordered my lunch and sat there, minding my own business. A couple of women arrived soon after, and politely asked if they could sit at 2 of the 3 spaces next to me. No problem. Then, when I was just starting to eat my lunch, 2 other people arrived to join them. There was only 1 other free seat left. So what did they do? Yep, asked me to move somewhere else. The cafe is full, I'm in the middle of my meal, and I was here before any of them. I politely refused. Now they are carrying on about how selfish I'm being, taking up the entire communal table when I'm only one person. They are watching me eat, willing me to finish and leave. Screw that. Once I've finished eating, I'm going to order a coffee, linger over it, and then order a slice of cake. The last story is called Job Inspection. I was hired at an organization with the job title of basically helper. For someone who is supposed to just be helping, I had a ridiculous amount of work. Almost all of my coworkers were huge technologically illiterate boomers, so I actually sort of thrived as a very useful person. For example, one guy would spend half his day copying items and passing them into another program we use. He didn't even use Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V. He would right-click, then copy, then go into the Files menu or something and insert copied item from clipboard. He was so proud of himself when he showed me, because, don't worry, you won't have to retype everything. I wrote a program to do this automatically, but did not tell him. I would just run it occasionally as part of my responsibilities. I did a lot of stuff like this. I'd estimate I saved about 15 hours of work every day, on top of the 8.5 hours I did too. But then, insert the idiot. We are having a team meeting when he shows up. White hair, combed okayish, a scrunched face, glasses. He just showed up one day and took notes during our morning meeting. At one point, someone brought up the name of one of our customers. I said, "Oh, is that the 300-pound guy with a big beard?" Sort of as a joke, because I mostly do back-end stuff. There was a guy like this I recently did some entrance stuff for. But I was wrong, and my boss said, "No, it's blah blah, some other person." Okay, then we talked about that person a bit. Fast forward about a week, and the new idiot is a complete douchebag to me. I don't know why. He will ignore me during group conversations and literally sometimes scoff at me. Who actually scoffs at people? I was having a really rough week looking for some extremely important files. People were yelling all day. I was exasperated. Too much to do, I was having anxiety attacks at home in the middle of the night. But it was Friday, so I was pulling through. As I looked for this file, I ended up deep on our file structure, and the search returned a personal folder structure within one of the drives. I clicked out of curiosity, and there it was. Idiot's notes. I opened it, and there was a whole section about me. This guy basically goes from location to location, getting people fired to save the CEO's money. And he was working on me now. I scrolled through his notes, and at the very top, I saw Photo 410, 24-year-old female patient was a 300-pound bearded man. Clearly atrocious attention to detail. That's just one example of how completely messed up his comments were. So a combination of stuff brought me to say screw this. My job, which I generally liked and enjoyed helping people, wasn't paying enough for my effort. Then this horrible week I had. And lastly, his comments. I set up 3 email configurations. To my boss, letting him know I will be taking 2 weeks of vacation time. To be sent at 10 PM tonight. To the company, letting them know that I will not be present for 2 weeks. So whatever work they currently need me to do, they will need to do themselves. To be sent Monday morning at 4 AM. For any emails that came in, I set an auto response. I will be out for an unknown amount of time. For any routine, emergency, or even occasional items, it is imperative you reach out to Idiot for assistance. Then, I turned off every automated task I had ever set up. Then I swung by Idiot's temporary office and said, "I think I found a way to make your job easier." He didn't even really turn his head to look at me, but just raised one eyebrow. Then I left. I actually got multiple calls on Monday morning I didn't answer. It didn't last long apparently, but I stayed strong and didn't respond to anything. On Wednesday, I had a little anxiety about it, but I stayed as strong as I could. I thought about the task that needed a 2-day turnaround. There's no way some of the guys were keeping up with their normal duties. Guaranteed at least 2 people were no longer doing their normal jobs just to keep up with my automated tasks. I got a long email to my personal account. I guess from my resume or when I interviewed. From my boss on Thursday night of the first week. It went something like this. "I know you're a smart person and probably figured out what the company had us doing. I would say it's very important to call me. But that probably isn't going to work, I see. I've talked with Idiot's boss, and he will be leaving our location. I explained our progress meetings seem to be going in the wrong direction, and that you are one of our most valuable employees here. I am sure you are probably looking at other jobs at this point, or maybe you have even started one. I hope not. If you could please reach back to me, I would like to offer you a raise. It has become very apparent how useful you are around here. I hear about it every day, believe me." So I came back on Monday with a great raise and the idiot out of my face. My boss apologized again in person and said he didn't get a say in it. I think it's a little weird he could have a say after I left, but not before. But I sort of get it. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.